Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome for this session. It is one of the last, so you should be tired. And this topic is a little bit heavy, and you have the chance to have someone who is French, so some words you may not understand. So I feel sorry for this. Today, we are speaking about tensions. And one of the things interesting is to look at the different manifestos, at least two, but from the eyes of organization development and polarity management, and try to look at intentions we have in organizations. And just as a small summary about who am I, I'm a French living in Singapore, married to a South Korean. So I think I am not French anymore, and I am not Asian at all also. So I am in between, so I'm a Franco-Asian. That's tend to invite people to discover a better version of themselves and come with a different background from facilitation, coaching, consulting, design. And I worked actually in a corporate investment bank to try to work on attrition and retention, but at the same time trying to design systems that promote health and performance. That's short. So why we are speaking today? The why is to look at the agility from a different eye, from a fresh eye, and to make new distinctions in order to make an impact. I want to provide you some kind of insights about looking at your everyday life from a different perspective. So my hope for you is at the end, you will see things differently. So the purpose for you is seeing. How? We will explore 4 concepts, and we will explore also a little bit of this concept. Where is Japan? Oh yeah, I see people turning. So my invitation is to look at different perspective with grace and respect, meaning that when you will look at different things, you may feel internally challenged, and it's maybe because there is something to learn about. Just don't be afraid to accept other perspective. Otherwise, people will see the earth not round, and there is always a north and a south. But if you observe from different perspectives, you will see things differently. And what is an invitation to be curious. So the thing is, I want also to give you as a what a new way to look at the manifesto, how it has been written long time ago, and how can it make more sense today, and in a way, look at it from a different perspective and breaking a little bit. As a spoiler, the manifesto may not have 4 values, but 8. So, but as a small introduction, when I spoke about organization development, some people may not know what is it. So organization development started after the Second World War, where some people started to question why this war happened and why some people were really doing this to humanity. And at one point, they started to look at organization from a different way. And so the idea is currently we are living in a fragmented organization. And in OD, you can consider it as a doctor or a psychologue for organization, but it's rooted in behavior science, complexity, system theory, and anything. But in a summary, it's kind of maintaining the balance between enhancing organization effectiveness and performance, and at the same time, sustain well-being of its people which are working in it. So how do we do the two at the same time? Spoiler, it is a polarity. It's something you need to do both, but you cannot choose one toward to another. And it come also, so you may have heard people like Edgar Schein, Peter Senge, Copper Ryder from Appreciative Inquiry, the other AI. So these people are OD practitioners, actually. And so from this, we will try to look at things from a system perspective. And the first things to look is one of the first competence and concept. The first concept is there is multiple systems. There are systems which we call diagnostic systems. A diagnostic system is a system that do things. It's a thing that within a company that make processes. It's system which you have action, you can measure, you have output. There is something that is kind of concrete. There is structure and it's predictable. And a lot of companies love this because you can predict things. It's really good to predict everything. Nevertheless, there is a second system. A second system is a more which is dialogic. Dialogic is the B system, is us as a human being. And so in a way, it's full of belief, meaning making, outcome, patterns. And unfortunately for some people in organization, it's not possible to quantify, to measure, and to predict. So this is the first source of tension in organization, especially when we do agility. A lot of people want to do the left part, but let's put the right part on the side. And this is one concept, as understanding that when we design system, when we intervene within organization, we need to intervene not only in a diagnostic way, but we need to intervene in a dialogic way. This conference, a lot of things happen in the coffee machine, in the water cooler. This is a dialogic part. This is where the people learn and where people express who they are. And at one point, you have some KPI, you need to have a certain amount of people coming in order to budget the next year and so on. So this is a good example. This conference, it's a mix in between diagnostic system and dialogic system. One example to give you to understand a little bit more this concept, consider the distinction between the brain and the mind. A brain is a diagnostic system. If you are a neurosurgeon, if you press one button, poof, the arms go up. It's predictable. If you put a needle here, something will happen. But with the mind, you study patterns. A coach, a therapist is trying to understand things, and it's not predictable. If someone is sad, you cannot say that if I do this, everybody in the room will be sad. It is not quantifiable. So this is the first concept to keep in mind, understanding that in organization and in agility, we live with this that create tensions. The second one is an interesting one. It's a concept of organization in the mind. And this is one of the true core factor of tension. There is no one organization. There are as many organizations as there are people inside it. Unless we work intentionally to create shared meaning, nothing happens. You, as a participant, you have the organization in the mind of what is the regional Scrum gathering. The organizer have another one. You come, for example, for being hired. You come for looking a new job. You come for hiring someone. Everyone has a perception of what is the regional Scrum gathering. But understand within a team or within an organization, if you remove all the people, the organization do not exist at all. So the organization exists by the sum of all the perception of what is this company. And this is where you can see people saying that this company is for my own profit or the KPI and stuff like this. And you have people, this company is around belonging, around being a family and so on. And this is where tension are created. So the organization in the mind is a second level of tension which are created in companies because people do not perceive the same thing unless you work on it. And the third concept, where I will spend quite a lot on it, it's the concept of polarity. It has been introduced by Barry Johnson, but you can find trace. I found some in Viktor Frankl. I found trace way before. And it is the fact that there is some interdependency about things you value and you are not able to choose something. So you can call it paradox, dilemma, or positive opposite. And in order to understand a little bit more the polarity from your perspective, take 1 minute and think, what are 3 values that define yourself? How do you define yourself? I am this, I am that, and I am that. Think about 3 values. For me, I try to be authentic, truthful, and curious. It is one of the three that I have. And think back about one time when two of these values is two things you cherish due to an event enter in conflict. And at one point, you have to say, should I choose this or should I choose that one? And at one point, you may have done something which is managing the polarity. Actually, you took both together. And actually, you succeeded to figure out a way where one of your value and your second value make sense. And how did you succeed it? Most likely, you created a greater purpose that able to align. And it is one of the things which is interesting when we think about balance. A lot of people have the thinking that balance comes with two, but actually balance comes with three. If you want to balance something, you need three. Resilience, you need the triangle is the most resilient geometrical structure. If you think about in the past, things around religion or things around alliance, equilibrium were created where there were three. And when at one point was broken, the two polarized. And so the thing is like within polarities, what we are doing is in a more detail is when we need to address many priorities and many choices, and we have dilemma to manage. And the dilemma, there is no clear cut. There is no solution. You will need to live with it. This is where a polarity happens. A polarity that if you have a partner is myself and the other person. At one point, you will need to deal something. And if I do only something for myself, the other person at one point will go away. But if I do only something for the other person, myself go away. So how in a relationship you manage the equilibrium between balancing? Some people may say, my greater purpose is to create a family. And by creating a family, we align all each other to have the self which is expressed and the other expressed. So understanding that you don't have a solution, you will live with it the rest of your life. But it's not neither or, it's both and. And this is the complexity that we have within agility. At one point, we want to have many things. Is it some questions that you add in your teams? Do you prefer self-growth or team growth? Is it something around individual learning or collective learning? Is it you or them? How can we manage things short-term and long-terms? How can we manage the reality of things and the possibility of things? Directing, empowering, continuity, and transformation. So this concept is, at one point, you will need to deal with both. And this is where tension is actually super created in companies. You have companies who decentralize everything. And after they move to centralization, and after they move back to decentralization. So instead of managing both, you see a pendulum. Tum, tum, tum. We are finishing the great cycle of decentralization that stay for 20 years in the world. And now you can see countries getting polarized and becoming localized. So this cycle, if not managed well, you will move from one to another. And so in a way, to manage a polarity, you need to define a greater purpose that will help you to align both, understanding that if you don't do it, you will have a bloody epic fail if you don't manage it. Because at one point, it will burn you, your organization, the team, and everything. So if we think about it, from this competence, polarities are unavoidable. We live with them and they live with us. We are always have polarities. They are unsolvable and they are interdependent. And this interdependence is the key, because this is where actually the value is created. Understanding that we need both of them is key in an organization. So you can have a short-term and a middle-term plan, and even a long-term plan. But how do you make sure there is a coherence and congruence between both? It's the key. So you will need to define and discuss and have a real conversation around the purpose about it. For example, if you have a company or a team that you value this in your team, stop thinking about, oh, what is great if we empower this value? Try to play a little bit. Take two values, make them together. What happens if we do this and that? And you will start to have conversation where the value is not something which is written on the wall where people look at it without understanding it, but you have a real conversation around like, oh, our company is empowering and we are also stable. How do you make empowering and stable together? Oh, we need a greater purpose. And this greater purpose will align everything. So, in a way, having these three concepts in mind, understanding that we live in systems with tension are created because of some people having more a diagnostic way of thinking and some people having more a dialogic way of thinking, which is a polarity to manage. That everyone has different organization in their mind that also require conversation and context to set in order to make them feel what needs to be done. And understanding this concept of polarity, we can have fun. Because now you have a new eye. You can see things differently. And one of the things that has been quite most polarizing for at least 24 years has been the Agile Manifesto. A group of people that has been gathered in a ski station to do ski and eating cheese and speaking about what is happening in the year 2000, inviting also women, inviting many people, some didn't come. And at the end, they had challenging thoughts about what is happening in the year 2001. And so they discussed the context. And within this context, they arrive to a point where they value some things. And what they value has been written and shared. And if you look at it, I just did a little tweak in case some people are not software engineer. As an agilist, we try to provide solutions. We want things to go further. It is coming from a friend, Laurent from France, and he modified it with solution in order to be a little bit more solution focused. But I like this because at one point it helped to remove the link with software engineering. But if you look at the manifesto, and you look now with the concept of polarity, what do you see? Don't you start to see two different energies? One on the left, one on the right? And don't you see that there is something which is quite interesting? If you read the manifesto, let me read it the way I read it now. Manifesto for Agile Solution Development. We uncovering better way of developing solution by doing it and helping others to do it. Uncovering, meaning it's already there. It's not something that we create. Through this work, we have come to value, and we go to the last paragraph. That is, while there is value in the item on the right, we value the item on the left more. Actually, there is 8 values in this manifesto. They value both. And the funny thing is, within this context, where they argue and agree, they figure out there were 4 lines. But you need to understand that even the semantic of the word manifesto is to manifest. The manifest is written in a way to describe an overuse pattern, a transition which is not finished. The manifesto never shared what is the end goal. It's a kind of an expression of anger. This is not working. So when we look at the manifesto in 2001, they wanted more individual interaction over process and tools. But they still want process and tools. They just want more. So in a way, when we read the manifesto, we need to read it in a way it was in the context of something that they want to change. The manifesto is actually a movement. It's not static. So if you look at it from a polarity perspective, you should replace over by and at the end. Because at the end, the right and the left are white balance. And you know what happened? Some people manifested. This was in 2001. What happened? In 2009, people manifested. They created the Software Craftsmanship Manifesto. And if you look now with these new eyes, what do you see? As an aspiring solution craftsman, we are raising the bar of the professional solution development by practicing and helping others learn the craft. Through this work, we come to value. And look how it starts. Not only working solution, but also well-crafted solution. So they also express 8 years after, the dysfunction of the transition that need to appear. Because some people were too much on one, they started to bring another one. So it's not an equilibrium. And so through this, we can have fun. So it means that if we just take 2 manifestos, we come with 12 values. Because some people said that this was not enough. But if you look at it from a polarity perspective, and you need to place and instead of or, we're going to mathematics, it's a permutation of 2 over 12, which is 132 possibilities. So if we want to write, in this case, with 2 manifesto, an equilibrated manifesto, knowing that in polarity management, the one that we choose to overuse will be on the left, and the one we underuse will be on the right, you can write all of this with the and 132 times in different line. That will make the manifesto even more difficult to read. But in a way, it was an oversimplification within this context. And in a way, why people fight it so much over years? Because it was not their context. I give you an example. If you're a startup, you can put in parallel 2 things: customer relationship and responding to change. And this is a polarity. Surprisingly, they are both on the left side on the original manifesto. But if you do this, you will see that, oh, this is a tension we have in our organization. So actually, when we speak about agility, we need to replace it in context. We need to understand the value within the context. And we need to see which one are in tension and have the real conversation around it. Because it could be comprehensive documentation and a productive partnership. It could be any pairs, actually. But within your diagnostic, you can look which is a pair which is overused. If you live like me old enough, you maybe have lived the CMMI life, and you understand that the overused documentation. And you may have lived also the agile, but when a slide deck was sent somewhere, and at one point expectation that everything goes well. So this is where all underuse and overuse patterns are expressed. But the thing is, like, why it makes agility so complex? It's because we need to take into account the context when we are working. These 4 may match in certain contexts. Still now, it means that after 24 years, people have still the same tension. But we need to forget that there is other things. So, in a way, this could be also an extended manifesto. So we may need to value centralization and decentralization, cross-functional and professional focus, quality and speed, individual improvement and team improvement, continuity and transformation, task focus and relation focus. Make it done and empower others. So that's one reason is that if you just take a textbook, agility, and you present the manifesto, you just present the context of people in 2001. So it is a good step to start. But at one point, the good step also to do is to try to harvest what needs to be spoken. Because unfortunately, tension is created when things are repressed and suppressed. And so we call it elephant in the room, we call it how we want to call it. But at the end, what is a tension that needs to be named? And this tension needs to be addressed. And that's why it's really interesting that if you look at the Agile Manifesto, what are the other one based on this, which is the core, that are pretty good as a foundation? What are the ones that has not been addressed in the organization? And so if we think about context, it is quite an interesting one. So what I want is I will try to show you the dynamic of a polarity. So in a way, you can see how you can use it, because it's quite abstract. But I want to show you the dynamic. And if we go this way, yeah, in a way, when we value two things within a polarity, you can think in your context. When you do your diagnostic in your organization, there is one thing you value, and you value it more. So this one is the first one. We place it on the left because it is the one that is valued the most. So why it is valued the most? Because we love it, and we work a lot to have it. So it means that when we work in this value, many things can happen. If you work as responding to change, you are able to listen what is the market, what are the different trends, you are able to listen to the environment, and so many things can happen here. The downside is if you do it too much, what starts to appear? If you are too much into being changing, response to change, if you are too much in this, you start to lose complete structure. It starts to be complete anarchy. Project will go in different angle. Nothing will be delivered because you start something and you never finish it. So what are the things? It's not, when you look at polarity, the bottom, it's not the negative part. It is when you do it too much. Meaning at one point, you do something too much and something start to appear. And this downside, when you start to appear, you start to be afraid. There is a certain fear. You know what? After you go there. So, responding to change, following a plan. You want to heal. It is too much. So, at one point, you want to go to this side. And so, here, you have now following a plan. What are the good things about following a plan? Oh, we have predictability, we can be secure, and so on. And so you start to work here. When you start to work too much, you realize, I'm not listening to my customer anymore. I'm not listening to any signal. I'm not looking at my statistic and saying that this feature that we spent 3 months to work is delivered, but no one used it. So what happened? You start to see, ooh, I am afraid. And so you say, okay, let's be more flexible. And so that's why polarity go in a way this way. It's a pendulum. The thing which is interesting, if you look at it, this is the thing, in a way, we fear the most. And this is why we love this a lot. Because we fear this a lot. So if you are a coach in an organization, if you look now at the value, and the things that, oh, we value this, we like this, it's an expression of fear. It's the expression of what they don't want to lose. And so through this, you can start to see which polarity is in place. And the idea is, how do we manage this? The way we manage this, and this is documented by Barry Johnson, is through a certain steps. First, you will need to work, as we said. If we love a lot, what are the things that happen here? What are the things that we can see? When we see this, if we do too much, what are the downside? And so you will be guided with what we want to heal. and after you will come back here. And so you will start to map the things. The funny thing is when you start to name this, you will be able to name this polarity and this polarity. Because this is when you diagnose whatever is happening in your company that you do a lot and you start to see. So there is 3 patterns which are easy. One, it's called an overuse pattern, meaning you value this, so you are okay to pay this price. So in a way, you slowly go this way. Anyone who wants to start running and start to run a marathon, and there is a polarity between rest and activity, you are okay to pay the price with a lot of activity, and the rest here is downside. So in a way, you're okay, you hurt yourself, you rest, you come back. When you go to this, it's actually like this. And this is called mediocrity. Because it is just enough. You are not able to generate anything good. What you want, and as Chris shown in a way before in the previous talk around vicious cycle and virtuous cycle, is within a polarity, you need to understand that what you want is this pattern. When you are able to have this and this. Because at one point, if you are not able to do it, you may come to these patterns, which is a vicious cycle. You have nothing of this and nothing of this. And some companies are currently in this dilemma with AI, where they realize with AI that they currently perpetuate a vicious cycle because they are too rich. They have too much money. So actually, they can be blind about it. But when, at one point, abundance is removed and you only live in scarcity, you start this pattern and people start to be afraid. So the purpose here is to define your greater purpose statement. You call it GPS. It's a good. And also understanding what is the deepest fear and the loss you can have. So with this, you can start to have a conversation in context within your team, within yourself, within your company around like, come on, we need to do this. Okay, what are the values that we need to maintain? We need to maintain this. So what are the small actions that we know that if we do here and here, this will happen? And this is where it is super interesting. You need to put in place a monitoring. Because you need to look, when you know exactly what happens if you do too much of this, you can focus on the early warning. Meaning that you can start to monitor in your organization when you start to see people starting to get a little bit unmotivated in a project. I start to be people getting late, people that are getting slowly more and more and more tired, and the number of bugs increased. And the different things. So you can start to identify what are the early warning you need to monitor. And as soon as you have this, you modify the action. You're being agile. And so it is an entire process. If you add, for example, I will take a personal life with me and you as a partner. My first girlfriend, it was terrible. I know, retrospectively, I was not a good guy. I was thinking sometimes too much for myself, and I was too much egoist. But through the experience, I learned my mistake, I learned where I failed, and I built a certain resilience. With a second girlfriend, I get better because I monitored myself the early warning. Hey, I'm spending too much time with my friends. I'm not spending time with her. It's an early warning that I know. And so from this, oh, when I spend time with her, I need to really spend time with her. So I need to be present. Oh, what does it mean to be present? Oh, I need to listen to her, ask questions, and so be curious and actually want to learn about her. But this comes with experience. So when we deal with polarity, even if you follow it, you will be in a learning process. That's why you will never be able to manage. I'm just newly married and I'm aware of it. So that's why I'm trying to work on my marriage every day. Third year for you? This is the eighth iteration. This one is is learning by failure. but but this is the thing is like uh, when we speak about software engineering, how much time we spend in observability. Observability is key. Like Deming said, without data, you're just a person with an opinion. And we want to avoid opinion in this case because when we work on a high performing team, when we work on something about efficiency and performance, we need at one point to make sure that there is some evidence base and some early warnings that we can see. If we are not, if we are blind around the system and we see where are the tensions that need to be removed to give space to something else, we will of course go in a vicious cycle or an overuse pattern. That's why, in a way, it is complex to do an agile transformation. It's complex to do things at this level because we need to deal with a bloody organization in the mind. If you think about a team of 5, it's already complex. Think about a company of 30, 50,000 people. They have 50,000 vision of the organization at the beginning. That's why creating clarity, creating context, creating good container for conversation is important. We need to give space for this. Either the things will flow. As a warning, when you get introduced to the concept of polarity, you try to see everything as a polarity. Please don't. There are tensions, there are polarities. But polarities is when really you feel like this tension where, oh, we are a people-centric company and at the same time we don't have enough revenue, we will need to fire people. This is a tension. So how do you remain humane and at the same time understanding that if you continue to be humane, you will just bankrupt the company? So this is this tension to manage, and this is a conversation to have. I have a problem with this. I need to move a little bit. Yeah. So, let me fix one thing. I draw where I should not draw. Hopefully, this thing has a memory. I give you space for thinking. And think about mediocrity. This is something which is currently things I'm studying. For me, mediocrity is beautiful. It's like depression. Being depressed is beautiful. Being mediocre is beautiful. When you are aware that you are mediocre, it's a gift. Because it's happened, said like, oh, I'm not good. So you have two actions. Either you decide to not be good. Me, I decided to stop marketing. So I'm good with this. Or you decide to make an action and to solve this. But if mediocrity or depression stay over time, this is where the problem comes from. So, but mediocrity at one point is when you start to tolerate what is not tolerable in an organization, or when you start to compromise what is right for the sake of your own convenience, of someone else's convenience, and you start to industrialize it, you're going to mediocrity. And at one point, it starts to be a tradition, and this is really difficult to manage because it creates more polarities to handle in the organization. So if we think about it from an agile perspective, we need also to introduce and to integrate more things. We can integrate modern agile with other values. We can introduce art of agile from Alistair Cockburn, and we can see that what are the other things that we can have a look. We can look at behaviors through agnostic agile. The thing is like not always being so much dogmatic is also important. Look what is available and there is new things. But you need also in your company to create your own values, to create your own things and to protect them. And so at the end, identify tensions. It's good to have tensions, So if you look at your own body, if I stand up, it's because I have a necessary tension that is holding me up. If I have too much tension, I cannot breathe. And if I am too much relaxed, I'm falling. But identify the tension. Identify the ones that are not necessary. Clarify the context around you. The organization in the mind is the thing that you will need to make sure that people understand, especially the new joiner, especially people which are getting retired. People getting retired who worked a lot, make them speak to the younger, make them understand why this company is important, preserve the values, name the tension and the polarities, avoid elephant in the room, and monitor signals where things got wrong. And so if you use a manifesto, the only thing is like look at it from 8 or even more points and ask the people what are the other values that we value around, because this is the conversations that need to happen. This is the elephant that you need to play with. So on this, I didn't even think about personal things and so on. So at the last minute, thank you, Chris, I figure out that, no, context. Yes. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, this is the easiest adaptation I found. If you have any questions, I am happy to give you my perspective. I may not have the answer. Or if you're looking for solutions, we can have a coffee or a beer after. It is late. It is a long day. It is late. I feel sorry for you also. Mm, huh. Um, I am confident and doubtful at the same time. Because in a way, it's a difficult topic, and I don't want to show myself as too much knowing. I'm still learning. So the question for online was, what was the polarity about my sentence? And my sentence is this balance around like trying to share knowledge, but not trying to still give a space for learning. Oh yeah, it's a good polarity. Share knowledge, give a space for others. Good one. Thank you, Jules. You want a beer? Is there any question online or is there any question online or? Oh, good. So on this, if you have questions on polarity management, there is a beautiful video that Barry Johnson did on YouTube. There is a part 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it's 2 videos of almost 1 hour and a half each. And it go really deeper in the context. And if you follow it, you can actually do a self workshop with yourself. So it's really good. After the book are available, there is many things. Feel free, go to see Barry Johnson work. It's quite enlightening. I wish you a good life. And thank you online for people which were here. Have a good life also. I'm leaving the room.